As a past student, employee, and current parent of USD 239, I am very confident in their ability to protect the rights of individual students and their records. Minneapolis is a small community and can be a challenge at times related to confidentiality, especially when everyone knows one another's past, present, and future. However, USD 239 demands that staff, students, and parents use confidentiality. Ferpa. What an interesting acronym I have to the left side of this screen. After interviewing 5 different individual staff members at USD 239, a common answer was, I've heard that term before. So what is Ferpa? And what does it have to do with confidentiality? First and foremost, Ferpa protects. It is comforting to know that an individual's past information isn't easily attainable, unless there is a specific purpose for obtaining the individual's records. The focus of Ferpa is to assure parents access to the student's education records and protect those individuals' rights and privacy, which later these rights transfer to a student when he or she reaches the age of 18 or attends a school in the future for higher educational reasons and purposes. Ferpa also can be known as the Buckley Amendment. This right guarantees rights of citizens and also mandates that they annually and effectively notify current students of their rights. The purpose of Ferpa is to ensure that parents and students have access to their educational records. Yes, parents and students have rights, and Ferpa ensures that their rights are protected. This also gives the individuals ownership in managing their files in order to maintain accuracy throughout the years. Ferpa's purpose also protects the privacy rights of parents and children by limiting access to these records without their consent. Not only does it ensure access to the records, but it gives them the privacy for the school to just not share this information freely with just anyone who inquires. So what exactly does Ferpa deal with? Well, when dealing with the parents and the students, they have access to educational records in the past. They also have rights to inspect and review those records at any time. If there is a question with the records that they are reviewing, they have the right to amend the records. If the information is inaccurate or misleading, it may be changed. However, it's not just that easy. They would have to actually deal with the party, and if they weren't able to agree or come to an agreement on the issue, then it would go to a hearing process. After the hearing process, if the school still decides not to amend the record, the parent does have the right to place a statement within the record setting forth their view about the contested information. And then there is the destruction of records. Who does Ferpa apply to? Well, Ferpa applies to all agencies and institutions that receive federal funds. That would include your elementary schools, secondary schools, colleges, and universities. So what are the rules to the release of records and information? Well, rule number 1, schools must have written permission from the parent or student in order to release the information from their record. However, there are some exceptions to the rule. If a school official with legitimate educational interest in those records, they may obtain them without written consent. Also, schools to which a student is transferring or coming in, there's some exchanging of records in order to transfer and submit that student into a new school district. Another exception to the rule is specified officials for audit or evaluation purposes when looking and reviewing records in school districts. Appropriate parties in connection with financial aid to a student when you're looking at higher education. Organizations conducting studies on behalf of a school. Accrediting organizations to comply with a judicial order or when a situation with a law. There are those cases for health and safety emergencies. And another exception to the rule is state and local authorities when a juvenile justice system. So what is a student educational record? Well, imagine it's just about any information about a student for the use of educational purposes during their school career. Grades, schedules, personal information, enrollment records, behavior incidences that could have occurred during the school year, and so forth. There are two types of educational records defined under Ferpa: directory information and non-directory information. Directory information, which is a category over to the left side of the screen, can be disclosed without the written consent of the student. Release can be restricted with formal request. That would be reference to name, address, phone number and email, dates of attendance, degrees awarded, enrollment status, or major field of study. Non-directory information, which is over to the right side of the screen, cannot be released to anyone without prior written consent of the student. Faculty and staff can access with legitimate academic need. This is reference to Social Security number, student identification number, transcripts, gender, and race. For those of you who are students, parents, educators, and community members, I think it's very important as we look back and review over Ferpa that we remember the rules that are highlighted of importance related to confidentiality. Rule number 1. Student educational records are considered confidential and may not be released without written consent of the student. Rule number 2, as a faculty or staff member, you have a responsibility to protect educational records in your possession. Always remembering that the information that we keep regarding our students will never be revealed or made available to any other person. Rule number 3. You have access to information only for legitimate use and completion of your responsibilities as an instructor. In conclusion, I found an acronym related to confidentiality. No, I cannot take credit for it. However, I found it on ed.gov, and I thought it was definitely appropriate and related to confidentiality and could give us just a few little hints and reminders as we work towards protecting our students' and parents' rights. C. Control information about students. O. Only share information with those who need to know. N. Never discuss students at social events related to school. F. Follow guidelines if you are approached for confidential information. I. Interact with those who work and uphold similar responsibilities. D. Don't discuss student situations in the lounge with staff. E. Explanations for not discussing are easier than divulging. N. Not sharing is caring. T. Think about privacy. I. It's important that what happens at school stays at school. A. Appropriate information exchanges carries with it responsibility. And L. Learn how to handle uncomfortable inquiries. Thank you so much for listening and participating with the FERPA presentation given by Rebecca Helgett supporting USD 239 in their efforts to uphold confidentiality at its best.